So now we'll discuss parliamentary form of government. When we talk about a parliamentary form of government, what type of government do we mean? Parliamentary form of government means what? Which type of government? So responsible government. Okay, these are the features, but I'm asking that if we are talking about a parliamentary form of government, that presidential is also a representative of people. That's why it is known as a responsible government. That's why it is known as a responsible government. It is also known as a cabinet government. Cabinet form of government, right? Why? Because the executive part of the government, responsible government, has been run through the executive, and that is executive is known as a council of ministers, right? So because of the nature of this, it is also known as a cabinet form of government, and it is also known as a Westminster type of government, Westminster form of government. Why it is known as a Westminster form of government? WEIST. That's why it is known as Westminster form of government. Not WEST, West nahi. I'm not. This West is WEIST, Westminster government. Westminster form of government. A place in Britain that is a Westminster place where this form of government has evolved. So due to the place is also known as a Westminster form of government, because it is evolved at a place, Westminster. It's a name of place. Okay. So this parliamentary form of government is a responsible government. Why? Because executives are been responsible to the legislature. Now why and how the executives are been responsible to legislature? Exactly. The executives are drawn from the legislature. So to become a legislature executive in parliamentary form of government, it is necessary that the member should have a membership of legislature, which is a parliament. Yes or no? So a persons who want to become in a parliamentary form of government, unlike the presidential form of government, where a person has been drawn from outside the cabinet, outside the parliament, outside the legislature. In presidential form of government, it is known as an expert government, but in parliamentary form of government, the minister is to be drawn from the legislature or parliament, right? So because of this, they are been responsible to the legislature. Now when we say that it is a responsible government, what do we mean by this? Responsible government in what? Means what? Responsible to legislature means what? एक करके. Okay. Can be removed by no confidence motion. Yes. So because of two functions of the government, first they are been responsible, means they are answerable. As we know, this parliamentary form of government is a type of democracy where peoples are been governed through the representative. Yes or no? Now being a representative, people representative, it is a responsibility of the cabinet or the executive to have an answer to the people. Now how the government answerable to people? Via parliament. They are not directly responsible to the people, but through parliament, answering the questions of a parliament, it means they are been answering to the people. Yes or no? पार्लियामेंट के थ्रू वो किसको आंसर कर रहे हैं? पीपल्स को. वाई? क्योंकि पीपल्स हैव इलेक्टेड देम. चूज किसने किया उन्हें? पीपल्स. Peoples have voted for them, and they have been come into the power through the power of peoples. So they are drawing the power from, अब उनको power कौन दे रहा है? People, direct source of power. Who is a direct source of power here? People, Indian people. So because of this responsibility, they are been answerable. Now answerable of the act, they have been done in the capacity, जो अपने capacity as a being a minister, जो उनका responsibility है उस act में, they have to answer the questions. And also answerable the act not done in their capacity. So both terms, they will be answerable to the legislature, and legislature held responsible to them for this act. If they do not do anything act done in the capacity or act, so legislature can remove them through no confidence motion. Yes or no? Right? So it means through these two terms we can say they are responsible, and this responsibility shows they are been controlled by the legislature. So we can say that the legislate in the parliamentary form of government, the executive or a cabinet is been controlled by legislature. Right? So this legislature controlling gives an instability, or they have an stability. Instability, they can be removed any times, though there is a tenure for the government, but still they can be removed any times from the office for the act they do not do, or for the act they have done in their capacity, जो उन्होंने अपने capacity में कुछ किया या नहीं किया उसके लिए उनका remove भी कर सकते हैं. Is it clear? So this is a responsible government or parliamentary form of government. Now the reason for adopting the parliamentary form of government, the first is that peoples were acquainted with the systems. Government of India Act 1935 has introduced a responsible government, right? So the people were acquainted with the process. So altogether after an independence, it is not suggested that we should altogether shift to a new system जो experiment base पर हो. एक नया सिस्टम लेकर आएंगे तो वो एक्सपेरिमेंटल बेस पर होगा. Yes or no? But the system which is already in existence, in a systems where we have been running through and we are familiar with that system, so it is good to have the same systems. So this is the first reason why we have opted for the parliamentary form of government. The second reason why we have opted, that they are responsible, that executives can held responsible to the legislature. So it means they can be removed from the office any times. So they can be controlled by the people. Now when we are talking about they are being controlled by the legislature, we mean they are controlled by the people. The representative of people can move नो कॉन्फिडेंस मोशंस, उनके अगेंस्ट में नो कॉन्फिडेंस मोशन लाकर उन्हें हटा सकते हैं. आई गेटिंग माई पॉइंट? रिसेंटली इन द बिफोर दिस लोकसभा, इन द लास्ट लोकसभा, नो कॉन्फिडेंस वाज मूव्ड अगेंस्ट द गवर्नमेंट, बट ऑपोजिशन इज नॉट इन ए पोजिशन of having a majority in the house, so the no confidence motions turn into the confidence motion of the government. Right? So through this, by making an executive responsible to the legislature, the voice of the people can be heard in the parliament. Right? This is the second reason why we have opted for the parliamentary form of government. Third reasons, that this system of government, parliamentary form of government, gives representative to every section of the society. How it will provide an representation from every sections? Because the government requires a majority in the house to form a government. Right? अब उस majority के लिए he needs to be the won the majority seats in the house, in the parliament. For that it needs to require every sections to be indulged into the, or to be heard, or to give importance to every sections. then only the candidate can win from the all constituencies or majority of the constituencies. As we know, we have a party system. We do not follow the individual leader system. Do we follow a party system or individual leader system? पार्टी सिस्टम्स. आप जब वोट करते हो तब वोट पार्टी सिस्टम सिंबल पे करते हो, right? So that party has been representing in the constituencies, and through that it is giving representations to everybody, every sections, those who can be left over in the presidential form of government, in the government. So these are the reasons why we have opted for the parliamentary form of government. Clear? Now this parliamentary form of government is also a basic structure. There was a question in mains 2-3 years back that it is high time to replace the parliamentary form of government with a presidential form of government because it has not delivered what it is meant for. Suggest. So here what we need to write down, that we cannot change a system altogether. So it is not necessary to shift to the new system. Rather, the defect which is it can held can be improved, or we can make changes, certain changes. जो उसमें defect है उसको हम दूर करके फिर we can let it a functions. Clear? So this is parliamentary form of government. Now we will see its features of the parliamentary form of government. The first feature is close relations between legislative and executive. If someone wants to become a minister or wants to head any department in the parliamentary form of government, so that person has to be firstly elected to the legislature, and then if his party on whose ticket he has been elected, if form a government, then he can become a minister or become an executive. So there is a close relations between legislature and executive because he himself is a member of legislature, and because his party has won the majority number of seats in the parliament, he will also be in a executive. There is a certain exceptions also to this. One exception is that an outside person, so is not a member of the legislature, can become a minister, but within a 6 month of a period he need to become a member of legislature. So it is necessary to become an executive, a person has to be a member of legislature, either initially, or if someone outside the legislature can also become executive. Even a prime minister can also become who is not a member of legislature or chief minister, but within a period of 6 months he has to or she has to become the member of legislature. West Bengal election is the best example, आप जहां समझ सकते हैं इसको. Mamata Banerjee has lost her seat in West Bengal elections, but still she is a chief minister. So this constitution has allowed her to be as a chief minister, and within a period of 6 months by elections has she become a member of legislature. Are you getting my point? There is a two term, by election and repolling. सुना आपने शायद, by election or re-election. सुना आपने? Is there any difference between the two? What is by election? Okay. Yes. Resignations. By any means, if a member of a legislature lose his seat after getting elected, so in that case by election will be held. अच्छा example दिया आपने, Wayanad. He left the seat of Wayanad because constitutionally you cannot be a member from two constituency, or you can also not be a member of both the houses. Either of the house you need to resign, right? So by elections, conducting an election in that constituency where the candidate is resigned from his office, or he's been dead, or he's been removed from his office. So in that case, he will be like anti-defection act lag gaya, he lose his membership, so by-election will be held. Re-election in a constituency, if election has been done by, but that election is cancelled due to certain, that is booth capturing की वजह से cancel हो, any natural calamities की वजह से cancel हो गया हो, या फिर election से just पहले candidate expire कर गया हो, right? So in that case, the constituency will have an re-election in that constituency. Are you getting my point? Right? So Mamata Banerjee, who became a chief minister of Bengal, came through in the power through by-elections in the Bengal. Initially she has lost her seats, but still she became a chief minister. So it says not only a minister, but a prime minister or chief minister also can be anyone from outside the legislature. But within a period of 6 months, he has to become a member of legislature. Now, because of this, that a member is the person is a member of legislature, and on the basis of that, he can be chosen as an executive. So there is a close relation, because he is the one who is formulating the plan, and he is the one who is executing, responsible for the executive. So there is a close relations between executive and legislature. Is it clear? So this is first feature of parliamentary form of government. Next is executive is responsible to legislature. Here the executive can held answerable to the legislature for what the act what they have done, right? There's a question in mains that how the parliament control the executives. So we will see how the legislature is controlling executive when we will do the parliament, like question R, adjournment motions, 0R, no confidence motions, censure motions. So there are lot of mechanism through which the legislature held control of an executive. It means they are been responsible. Now why they are responsible? Because executives are a member of legislature. This legislature, parliament, is one of the functions to provide the cabinet to the government. It provides its member to the government. So because of that, they are a member of legislature, so they can be held responsible to the legislature, and they can also be removed by the legislature, which is absent in presidential form of government. ठीक है? Right? Next is dual executive. It means that there will be a separate head of the state and a separate head of the government. A same person in a parliamentary form of government cannot hold the same both of the positions. इसमें दोनों ही अलग होंगे. Head of the state एक अलग होगा और head of the government एक अलग होगा. Unlike the presidential form of government, जहां पर similar person holding both the position. Are you getting my point? So in this case, head of the state in India will be a president, and in Britain it will be a monarch, king or queen, right? So this head of the state will be acting as a T12 head, or not real executive, but this prime minister, who is a head of the government, will be known as a real executive. Because he is responsible to the legislature. ठीक है? Is it okay? Next, secrecy of procedure. Now what is secrecy of procedure? Then it is up to the government that they can, parliament, that they can hold their meeting session in secrecy, in secret, and no one can challenge that. They have a right to know as their fundamental rights. They can force the parliament to have an open sessions. So parliament can ministers in a secrecy, they can advise. One of the function of the minister is to advise the president. So that advice cannot be disclosed to the public. What advice they have tendered to the president. So secrecy will be maintained in the procedure. आप अभी तो लाइव स्ट्रीमिंग का टाइम चल रहा है, देयर इज अ प्रोविजंस ऑफ लाइव स्ट्रीमिंग, बट इट इज अप टू द हाउस दैट दे कम एनी टाइम दे कैन स्टॉप द लाइव स्ट्रीमिंग. That is given a power to them, secrecy of procedure. Means they are not forced to disclose the informations or meeting to the general public. ठीक है. Next is leadership of prime minister. Right? As we know that in a house to form a government, a party needs a majority of the seats. Then only any party can form a government who own the majority of the seats, right? In a single party, but in a coalition also, the coalition government are those who form or who secure a majority of the seats. Now coalition may be before election or after election coalition. The best example, this Lok Sabha general elections, it is a coalition government, but after election coalition government is formed, NDA. Yes or no? Then the majority party who has secured a majority number of seats in the house will decide that they will work under whose leadership. They have to choose one leadership, and that leader will be appointed as a prime minister or chief minister in a case of state. Clear? So prime minister of an India or in a parliamentary form of government is not a person who is elected. Rather, it is an appointed office. Or chief minister. It is not an elected office. We do not elect our prime minister or we do not elect our chief minister. We just elect our representative. आप जब वोट करते हो तब आप अपने एरिया के एमएलए या एमपी के लिए वोट करते हो. आप प्राइम मिनिस्टर के लिए वोट नहीं करते हो. हैव यू कास्ट योर वोट? किया आप लोगों में से किसी ने? अभी तक किसी ने नहीं किया है. ओके, तो आप जब वोट कर रहे हो तो अपने एरिया कॉन्स्टिट्यूएंसीज के एमएलए या एमपी के लिए वोट कर रहे हो. नाउ दैट कॉन्स्टिट्यूएंसी, दैट एमएलए एंड एमपी, द पार्टी विच इज सिक्योरिंग द मैक्सिमम नंबर ऑफ सीट्स in a house will decide under whose leadership they are going to function for the rest of the tenure, and that leader will be appointed as a center union pe prime minister or in a state chief minister. So parliamentary form of government feature, one of the feature is functioning under the leadership of prime minister. It also means if the prime minister resign from his office, the government will fall. So it is necessary that the leader should be there of a majority party. Is this clear? Next, bicameral legislature, two houses, Lok Sabha and Rajya Sabha. The parliament having a two house, right? But certain states does not have a bicameral. How many states do have a bicameral? 8. Recently, Madhya Pradesh was added by 2022. So there is 8 bicameral legislature. So bicameral is clear, having a two houses in a parliament. No fixed tenure. Why no fixed tenure? Because they are responsible to legislature, and legislature can remove the ministers or the government from any time, though there is a fix that they will be there for the 5 years, but they can also be removed before the 5 years by the legislature by passing a no confidence motions. So they are not within a fixed. Till they enjoy the majority of the house, they will have a government. As soon as they lose the majority of the house or confidence of the house, the government will fall. It means they are having a no fixed tenure, that once they are appointed as a government, there will be no change in government, irrespective of their confidence in the house or not. This is not the case with the parliamentary form of government. In a parliamentary form of government, they have to enjoy. So the government will be in office as long as they are enjoying the confidence of the house. Or confidence of the house means majority of the house. Okay? Is this clear? So these are the features of a parliamentary form of government. Any question? No? So write down feature of parliamentary form of government. Before that, write parliamentary form of government. Parliamentary form of government. India choose a parliamentary form of government primarily because, write down the reason why they have chosen the parliamentary form of government. First, the constitution makers were greatly influenced by the system in England. Second, parliamentary model would only work parliamentary model would WOULD only work parliamentary form model would only work to accommodate the varied and diverse groups to accommodate the varied and diverse groups within our population. It's clear? This is the second reason. Next, strict separation of power in presidential system would cause a conflict between legislature and executive, the two branches, legislative and executive, the two branches, comma, which our newly independent country could not afford. So these are the reasons why we have opted for, and these reasons were stated by the framers in the Constituent Assembly. Clear? Next point. The reason is over. Next point. In parliamentary form of government, parliament is supreme and executives are responsible to legislature. In parliamentary form of government, the parliament is supreme. Like in Britain, we can see it is a supreme. And the executives are responsible to legislature. Okay? So this is an introduction to parliamentary form of government. Now write down features of the parliamentary system. To legislature. This can help you to solve the prelims question. Because on a parliamentary form of government, there are many questions been asked in prelims. So are you going through the previous year paper? Prelims on mains? Till the topic, though we have just completed one topic, but also we have seen this. So I think the topic what we have completed in class, you will be in a positions, not currently because we have just completed one or two topics. So when you will complete more topics, so you will be in a position to solve the problems of prelims also and mains also. But it is necessary that you all should go on a regular basis to the previous year questions. This will act as an GPS to your preparations, that you should not miss any right and left turn. Okay? So write down the features of parliamentary form of government. First, close relations between legislature and executive. Prime Minister along with the Council of Ministers forms the executive and part of legislature. Full stop. Next point. The Prime Minister and the ministers are elected from the members of Parliament, which implies that executive emerge out of the legislature. That executive emerge out of the legislature. Emerge out of the legislature means come out from the legislature. Right? So this will show that there is a close connections between the legislature because they are a part of legislature and executive. Second, executive responsible to legislature. Council of Ministers headed by Prime Minister have a collective responsibility towards legislature, which means each minister's responsibility is the responsibility of whole cabinet or council. It's clear? So this is responsible. Now dual executive. There are two executive in parliamentary form of government. Two executive in a parliamentary form of government. Prime Minister is a real executive which is a head of government. President, next point, president or monarch is a titular executive. President or monarch is a titular executive. Titular, T-I-T-U-L-A-R, titular executive. T-I-T-U-L-A-R. Titular means बस नाम का. Nominated or nominee. Nominal. Titular executive. President or monarch being a titular executive is a head of the state. So this is dual executive. Next, secrecy of procedure. The cabinet proceedings are secret and not meant to be disclosed to the public. Secrecy of procedure. Next, leadership of prime minister. The leader of the party that wins a majority in the lower house is appointed as a prime minister, who is a leader of the majority party. But how they will choose the majority leader, that is not been given in the constitutions, right? It is up to the members, party main, that like UPA government. The 2 terms of the UPA, they have fought elections, and when they won, they have appointed the prime minister as an Manmohan Singh. So they have chosen that they will be having a leadership of Manmohan Singh in the as a prime minister in the house, though he is a member from Rajya Sabha. So it is not necessary that the prime minister should be having in a lower house, but majority has to be proved in lower house. Next is bicameral legislation. Most of the parliamentary form of government has 2 houses. Next is no fixed tenure. The term of the government depends on its majority support in the lower house. The term of the government depends on its majority support in the lower house. Full stop. If the government does not win a no confidence vote, the Council of Ministers has to resign before the expiration of a term. Clear? So these are the features of parliamentary form of government.